Today I'm here with someone that you will probably recognize, I think so. He was principal trombone of London Symphony Orchestra, principal trombone of Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. Nowadays he teaches at the Hochschule in Bern, in Switzerland. And not to mention his meteoric solo career and conducting. So thank you very much for being here.
Pleasure.
So my first question, do you miss playing in orchestra?
Yeah, of course I miss playing in orchestras. I miss the music. But I realized that actually I wasn't playing the music, it was the violin that was playing the music. I miss sitting there and listening to the Vienna Philharmonic string section every day. I miss that. I do miss some things. I miss playing Parsifal. I miss playing Wozzeck. I miss playing Die Frauenschatten. And I think probably what I miss the most is having my life organized for me. You know, I don't have to plan everything. You don't have to plan anything in an orchestra. You get a schedule for the whole year and that's your life planned out and you fit other things in around it. My life at the moment, I have to kind of like direct it and guide it and decide what I want to do. And that's kind of difficult. So yes, I do miss it. It was a big part of my life for 30 years. But I don't miss it enough to want to go back, you know?
Yeah, I understand. So that's the thing, like a lot of people know a lot about your life, you know about what you did in the past, everything that you have achieved. But if you have to define with your own word, who is Ian Bousfield nowadays, in comparison with the Ian that we know from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, how would I
describe myself right now?
Exactly.
Lost. Schizophrenic.
Oh.
No, it was very easy to define, like you say, what I did. I was an orchestral trombone player who did some teaching and played some solos. And now, I kind of left orchestras and decided to see what would happen. And there's so many different things are happening, you know. I play solos, I do a bit of conducting like I'm doing this week. I teach, I'm very committed to teaching. I love pedagogy. I'm obsessed with learning about how people learn. I have my mouthpieces, I have my trombones. And so I realized that actually I don't go in any one particular direction, you know. Some people will say, I'm a soloist, some people say I'm a conductor, some people, you know, they do their things. And I just love doing lots of different things.
So you're trying to cover, like a Renaissance musician.
I don't know, you know. I don't know. I'm very fortunate that people ask me to do fantastic projects, you know, like...
Yeah, and regarding what you are saying, like for example, this week, you are extremely busy, like you are conducting the brass ensemble of the Danish Radio Symphony Orchestra, playing a solo piece with us while practicing new pieces for upcoming concerts, right?
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you keep yourself fresh? And do you do any kind, in terms of playing, do you do any kind of routine that helps you in that goal?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, keeping yourself fresh is something that I'm fighting with right now. You know, I mean, look at my face. You can see I've been playing a lot. Staying fresh is difficult. I think the gradual build-up of practice is very important. So you don't just... My face is very strong, so I could go from 1.5 hours practice a day immediately to doing 5 hours practice a day, you know, without getting tired. I wouldn't need to build it up, but it has a terrible effect on your face, you know, it gets you very stiff and very swollen. I think the freshness, the first point of the freshness is to enjoy what you're doing. The first point is to really love what you're doing. And then you're enthusiastic about the practice. But actually, as to a physical routine, the more I practice, the more mouthpiece practice I have to do, and the more I have to warm up. If I'm only doing 1.5 or 2 hours practice a day, basically I only need to warm up for 5 minutes and I'm away. And with the heavy workload that I have at the moment, almost like the first hour in the morning is a warm up. You can just do that and forget it. Well, I'll do 20 minutes, half an hour of basics, and then move on to some solo repertoire, and you know, it's not very good, and I leave it for an hour and come back and it's starting to work again. So staying fresh is very, very difficult. The other thing is to find times, like for example, I planned today, and this is a very important thing for students, I think, to think about. I can't take a day off practice. I just can't. But today, I will probably play my last note at 3 o'clock. And I will not start again tomorrow until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That means my face has had 24 hours off, but I haven't had a day free. So I've got the psychological, positive thing. I'm practicing every day, but I get a break as well.
Yeah, and as you say, to do so many things, you need to love what you do.
Yeah.
And in that regard, you also need motivation. I remember the first time I met you 7 years ago in that masterclass in Alicante, and I remember that you say that every day you try to remind to yourself how much you love what you do, and like you are lucky and fortunate of what you do. So I was wondering, has there been any time in your career where you have felt unmotivated or insecure, and what have you done to overcome a situation like that?
Oh, I feel insecure the whole time. I've felt insecure throughout the whole of my career. I'm kind of, there are the two sides of me. There's the one side that's very, very strong and like steel on the inside, that I really believe in myself, but on the other side, I doubt that I'm as good as people think I am. And that scares me a little bit. I only really started getting nervous when I became me. When I went to the London Symphony Orchestra, when I was 23, 24, it was great. And then about 26, 27, people start, this guy, there's this guy in New York, there's this guy in London, and all of a sudden the pressure of being me,
So the rest create the pressure, not...
Well,
actually,
I create the pressure because of how I see people perceiving me. I'm kind of the sort of person who I just like to do my job. I like to do my thing. I play the trombone because I love it. And then when all of the rest of it comes in, when people start saying, "Oh, this guy's one of the best trombonists in the world," or whatever, that gets pretty scary because I know what I can't do. I'm fighting with what I can't do every day, and I think that anybody who doesn't tell you that is slightly lying. We all know what we can't do. And so, yes, I have the insecurities, but it's very important that you play to your strengths. So you stick to, what you can do well. I mean, if you look at the most famous trombone players in the world, we could name them, and I could go through the repertoire that they don't play.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's very much a way of steering your way through things,
And know what you can do well.
Know what you can do well and stick to it, whilst at the same time trying to broaden that, I mean, like next week in the ITF, one of my students, actually Michael Buchanan, sort of challenged me a little bit because I was talking about the program, and he said, "Well, look, you're quite famous for playing the deux danses. Why don't you do that?" And I said, "It's a good idea. I'll do the deux danses." Because in the past I've always played it quite a lot, and I've come back to it now, and it shocked my face quite considerably.
Is he gonna fail the next semester, or after that comment?
Definitely not. No, he's fantastic.
Changing a little bit the topic, you have been professor at the Royal Academy of Music in London, and now you teach in Bern. And so, throughout all these years of experience teaching, which would you say that are the main features that a student needs to have to become successful?
First of all, unfortunately, you need to be talented here. That's, sorry to cut directly to the bottom line. First of all, you need to be talented here. Secondly, you need to be smart. If this doesn't work, we can fix it, But a basic embouchure, I'm talking about the people who are going to be instantly successful. The ones where it's just going to, someone who comes out of a wind band or a brass band, and this is, the corners are down and this is fixed and that's all that. That's quite a head start if you're like that, if it works naturally. The second thing, like I say, about being smart. Being smart means looking at what you need to do. Having an incredible interest in music. That the driving force behind what you're doing is this love of communication, the love of music. There's no question about it, the most successful students that I have have had have been the smart ones, you know. And so to give you such a short answer,
No,
but
you're honest.
the ability to think for yourself. A lot of students, and particularly Spanish students, they think that going to a teacher is like going to the doctor. They're going to go to the doctor will give them a pill, and their problem will go away. And that...
Without work.
Yeah, exactly. You know that they're going to go and study with this person, and they want to go and see a teacher who's going to say, do this, do this, do this, do this. Here's your house, here's your car, here's your job, here's your wife, here's your career. And it can't work like that. I think maybe 30 or 40 years ago it could have been like that, because there were not that many good trombone teachers around, and there were not that many good trombone players around. Now, there are a hell of a lot of good trombone players around. I mean, they're falling out of trees in Spain, you know, and Italy. They're just good trombone players everywhere. So being good is no longer good enough. You have to be special now. And in order to be special, you have to be able to think for yourself. So when you go to a teacher, when you go to someone like me, yes, there's a degree of do this, do this, do this, do this, but there's an awful lot of think about this. Think about this. What do you think about this? What do you want to do with this? How are we going to do this? So it's a two-way thing, rather than someone just saying, yes, sir, I play these scales. Yes, sir, I play these flexibilities. Okay, now I play the David. Now I have a job. Those days, fortunately, are gone.
So you kind of give the tools to the student to become his own teacher.
Exactly.
And I was going to say, in the process of learning,
yeah,
how important is the equipment? Do you think there's a preferred instrument for each person?
Yes, I do. And I think having the right equipment is, you know, as much as, if you ask me, am I a good trombone player? Yes, I'm a good trombone player. Am I a good teacher? Yes, I'm a good teacher. How important is it to have the right equipment? It's equally important as having a good teacher. I have seen so many times over the last few years where I have lost sleep over a student. I've worked with them on something and tried to change this and try to do this and think about this and maybe something in the sound or in the articulation just isn't working. And they go to Musik Bertram in Freiburg or whatever, and they come down with a new instrument. It's like, I wasted 2 years of my life trying to fix this. You were on the wrong equipment for you, you know. And I've had certainly two, like very, very clear cases of this, where it's like, great, fantastic.
All of a sudden.
So I realized as a teacher, you know, part of my responsibility is to try and guide someone as to what the right equipment for them is, what the right mouthpiece, what the right trombone is. And, you know, the equipment that I play is fantastic. The equipment that other people play is fantastic. I mean, if you look at the equipment that I play and that Joe Alessi plays, the mouthpieces are made by the same man, the instruments are designed by the same man, they're made on the same production line, but they're completely different. So, you know, and that's even within one house.
It matters.
Yeah, it's really, you know, I mean, for example, I love Joe's trombone. I can't play it. I love it. I love Bach trombones, but I can't play them. And I know other people that sound fantastic on a Bach, you know, or on one of Joe's trombones, you know. And so I'm working very hard on trying to listen to how people are playing, listen to what they're finding difficult, and then try and relate that to equipment that I know is going to work for them. And the worst news you can ever say to a student whose mom and dad have just saved up for 5 years to buy them a new trombone is to say, you need a new trombone. You know,
but you got the wrong one.
And I hate saying that, you know. So yes, I think finding the right, I think really, you know, England was the worst example of it, which is like almost compulsory. Con 88H and a Bach 5G. Now there's nothing wrong with that equipment.
Really bright.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that equipment. It's great, you know. Or someone says Joe Alessi plays on a Joe Alessi trombone with a Greg or whatever. That's what I'm going to do. Now, for 1 in 10 trombonists, that combination is going to be absolutely perfect, and probably for another 4 out of 10, it's going to work pretty well. But there's going to be 5 for whom that's not right, you know. And that's the same whether it's my trombone, whether it's, you know. Is my trombone a good trombone? Yeah, it's bloody amazing. I love it. But is it great for everyone? No, definitely not, you know. So, and how do you find out what's the right equipment? when students go to choose a trombone, they go to fix a problem. So they can't play high, or they can't articulate clearly. So they go and try lots of trombones out, and they find an instrument, let's say, where they can articulate freely and clearly, but they've forgotten that nothing else works. You know, you have to look at the big picture. You have to really go and say, okay, this has solved the problem of this trombone, but do I have another problem somewhere else now? There's quite a nice Austrian saying which says, change your instrument, change your problems. You know? And to an extent that's true. So students have to be very, very careful of that when they go to change. And like I say, just because something, you need to work out, are you a resistance player or are you a freedom player? Now, I'm a resistance player. I need resistance in my equipment. That's how I play so quiet and high, is because I've got something to blow against. There are other people that just want to blow like that.
You want an AC instrument.
Yeah, it's just a really free blowing instrument. And that then also will affect your teaching system. If someone is a resistance teacher, someone is a resistance player, you can't teach them to breathe and blow without resistance because it's against their system. You know? So yes, equipment is very important, and it's a very complicated issue.
I have a personal and specific question. During these rehearsals this week, you said something about loudness that kind of freaked me out, because you said like the fact that you are playing with a high level of decibels doesn't mean you're playing loud. So I was scared that I've been maybe playing soft my entire life. So can you explain us a little bit that concept?
Yeah, I think I find myself in my teaching now more and more saying, change the color, change the color, change the color. If you listen to a recording of Pavarotti playing, singing something out of Bohème or something like that, you'll hear that the color of his voice changes twice in every measure. Not because he's conscious, but it represents the emotion of the music, so the color of the voice changes. You know, the contrast between American instrumentalists and European, I think, is you'll find an American player saying, you have to make the same sound from pianissimo to fortissimo and from the low register to the high register. And you find European players saying, we want a completely different sound between pianissimo and fortissimo, and a different sound between the bottom and the high. When it's high, we want it to sound high. When it's low, we want it to sound low. When it's loud, you have to sound loud. And there's, you know, so of course we have to have control over the colors. So we play a fortissimo that's beautifully soft, or we play a pianissimo that's extremely violent, depending on the music that we're trying to represent. So yeah, it's when we play loud, it should sound loud, not just like I said, just turning the decibels up. It doesn't change the tone color. Yeah, you know, and if you listen to a trumpet player, they do that automatically. Trombone players just, you know, they have one color, brown. You know,
great.
Yeah,
you can see that.
Yeah, and that of course is then not an excuse to go kind of like brass band or wind band, sort of burning and being bright the whole time it's loud. Of course, we need to have some substance and some structure to the sound as well. Yeah, exactly. It's I was first made aware of this when the conductor Valery Gergiev said to me, he heard the Mariinsky Orchestra conducted by, I've forgotten his name now, the fantastic old conductor, the really, I've forgotten. Anyway, he said he had the orchestra trained so well that he heard them go from pianissimo to fortissimo without getting louder.
Wow.
That the sound just went, you know, just sort of the whole orchestra. So there are the two sides to loud. You must understand the emotion behind the dynamic.
What I don't want people is to misunderstand what you say. Mm-hmm. So when it comes louder, it doesn't mean more tension.
No, definitely. No.
It has to be a healthy, loud. Better changing the timbre.
This is an emotion. This is so that when you play loud, it has an intensity to it. I think one of the reasons why trombone players are always in trouble with conductors for being too loud is that the dynamic that we need to go to very often to get the intensity is too loud for everything else around us. And we need that intensity, maybe a mezzo forte and forte, without having to really hit very hard, you know?
And then another question about technique. We also talked about the sound concept. And when we try to work on building the sound in our daily practice, sometimes we come to the problem when the sound that comes out of the bell
Yeah.
is different from the sound
Yeah.
that you hear while you are playing.
Yeah.
So how do you address that issue?
That's a very good question. First of all, that comes back again to equipment. There are some trombones, and I'm not going to start naming names here, that I find very often when I'm teaching, I walk around my students a lot because I want to hear. I put my head on their shoulders sometimes so I can get as close to hear what they're hearing. First of all, address the equipment. Find out whether it's you or whether it really is the equipment. Some instruments will help with this, some will not. You need somebody who you trust, who will stand on the other side, usually a teacher, to say, no, come on, you need to work on the sound. In most cases when that happens, it's a question of focus. If we play on, just go, whoa, here it sounds quite solid, and then on the other side it goes, because there's no actual center to it. So focusing, really working on getting the vibration right in the middle and getting that sound focused is the first thing that you can do with that, but it's having trust and recording yourself and listening to see whether what's coming out on the other side is, I'm told, I have it on good authority that when I play, it sounds exactly the same here, pretty much normally, as it does on the other side. There's no difference. Wherever you walk, it sounds pretty much the same. But I always concentrate on making a small sound. I never, ever try and make a big sound. For me, a big sound is incredibly vibrant, and that sounds big on the other side. The more you try and make a big sound here, the less focused it's going to be on the other side. So that's also a big factor in that. People trying to go, oh, and then on the other side it's not focused. Only, in my opinion, only the very center of the sound goes that way. So we want the center of the sound that's like made of steel, completely solid,
Coming back to the issue of motivation, how do you motivate a student in a world where orchestras are closing, and also in a world where the link between the audience and the classical music it seems lost? And also I was gonna say that this is also a world where there are a lot of auditions, but we started to see how a lot of these vacancies are not covered. So what is the problem? What do you think about it?
I do a lot of interviews, and that's one of the best questions I've had. That's an excellent question. It's a very, very difficult situation that we find ourselves in now. I'm 53 years old. I feel as though I've been through the golden age of orchestral playing. I have a feeling that if we don't change, by the time we come to retirement, there won't be many orchestras left. By the time, another 12 years, by the time I'm 65. Something is wrong in the way things are working. To answer your question, how do you motivate somebody? I think first of all, I try to take away any thought of career from a student's mind. Winning a job is a byproduct. It's a side effect of being an excellent musician and an excellent trombonist. Again, this requires much more input from the student. There is work. People in our community want and have always wanted music. There is a market for what we are capable of offering, just the same now as there was for 200 years ago. But maybe the market is moving. It hasn't gone, it's moving. And the days of practicing the David and 10 excerpts and then playing concerts with overture, piano concerto and symphony, and you have a job for life, if they haven't gone, they will be gone very, very soon. Musicians must be part of the community, part of the society, part of the education system. Orchestras have outreach systems now. If you look at no-till brass, who are brutally expensive and are earning a hell of a lot of money and deserve to, because they will fill any concert hall in the world in 20 minutes. Those guys started that group because they were failing as orchestral musicians. They couldn't make it into orchestras, and they started off by laughing at the system. And they created a career for themselves. If you are creative, I think there will always be a career for you. If you want to just hand your life over and play second trombone in the Karlsruhe Symphony Orchestra for the rest of your life, I don't think that's going to happen. So
with all due respect to second trombone.
With some respect to second trombone players. No, actually, so. And this is something that I really try and convince my students, is that we need the core basics. The basics of articulation, sound and musicianship are the tools that we will use to go out into life. Beyond that, you have to have interests in early music, in modern music, in music theatre, in solo playing, in chamber music. You have to know how to create those things. And I see the future of orchestras as being a group of individuals who break off into chamber groups to do all kinds of different things, but come together as a big entity to be an orchestra. So students, the pressure is now on the students, on young players, to become more creative, to build their own careers. And
being communicative, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Being able to communicate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I see, this is where I said that in the beginning, you asked me about what is necessary. I said, first you have to be talented there, second you have to be smart. And it used to be good enough just to be talented here. It's not now. Now you need to be smart as well. So how do I motivate them? It's a difficult situation when jobs are running out. I get frustrated with orchestras, I'll be very honest here, where they take trombone players who win an audition. And I know these people who have won that audition have nothing to offer to an orchestra. They're not creative, they're not smart, they're not imaginative. Well, they can go through every excerpt for 30 minutes. When that happens, I think we understand why people don't come to our concerts anymore. It's, for me, the audition system, I would seriously overhaul the audition system. And so it would be a mixture between the English system and the European system. Of course, you need to find out whether someone can play. You need to find out whether they can play Bolero, whether they can play Berg three pieces or whatever. Good, fine. But if you have 5 people in the final round, give them all 2 months each. See who's going to work in the section. See who you can live with. In the last round, they can play all of these things. If they can't play all of those things, don't give them the trial. But it's a balance of the two things. So you find out, is this person creative? Can this person fit in with the section? Does this person have anything to offer our orchestra? And that way, I think that we may be able to grow in the future, as an orchestra. Because none of us want orchestras to die, but they're going to change. They will die, or they will change or die. I have no question about it.
Like any other business, I mean.
Exactly. I was thinking about this morning, about great composers. Why should the format that has been running for 200, 300, 400 years still be running today? Everything else in life is changing so fast. It's like us saying, we want it to be 1926 and we don't want it to change, there are some orchestras that are very, very good and very enabling for their members, but I don't think there are enough. If you look at this week in the Danish radio, giving the brass players the chance to do chamber music concerts, things like that, and to help and to encourage someone in their solo career as well as playing in the orchestra, so they can go out into the community, That's to motivate someone. On the one hand, it's depressing because orchestras are closing, and because so many jobs are left open. But on that matter, I would say, with my orchestral experience and my teaching hat on, the reason why so many jobs are not being filled is because people cannot do the basic simple things anymore. Easy is the new difficult. The ability to go dum 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 when necessary. It just seems to be disappearing because we're all playing all these crazy soloistic things now, but that's not how we earn our money in an orchestra. And first we need to cover these bases and make sure that all of the basics are there, you know?
Thank you for your answer. I think that was really inspiring.
That was a full answer.
Yeah,
Certainly a full answer. Yeah,
totally. That was 2 in 1.
Yeah.
So my last question is: after everything you've done throughout your career, is there any dream left?
No. I still have one ambition. I would like to play the trombone as well as I could play it. I don't play it as well as I think I could. So that's one, that would be a dream. I guess I never will. And there are no ambitions. I've gone so far beyond anything I could have dreamt of. From coming from such a poor background in the north of England and no aspirations really at all to do what I've done. And to be as successful as I've been. No, I have no aspirations. I don't have this. If you look at Christian Lindbergh, that guy's going to have burning ambition until the day he dies, you know? I'm not like that. My ambition is to enjoy what I do. Because I think that I've been under too much stress or too much pressure that I've put on myself through my life. So, yeah, I just want to really enjoy what I do. I enjoy making music. I think that's the main thing.